friends, uh, let us continue our discussion on the factors which affect the solubility. I mentioned in the last lecture that there are three factors which we need to take into consideration while discussing solubility. The first and prominent one is the nature of solute and solvent. And in the last lecture, I said that it is basically the nature which decides whether the solubility would be good or not. For example, we said that if both the solute and solvent they are similar, then from the rule that like would dissolve in like, that is similar nature solute would dissolve easily in a similar nature solvent, a polar solute would dissolve easily in a polar solvent, or a non-polar solute would dissolve easily in a non-polar solvent. It would be difficult for a dislike or dissimilar solute to dissolve in a solvent. For example, if the solute is polar and if the solvent is non-polar, then the solubility might be lower. So if the nature of solute and solvent is chemically similar, then the solubility is good. As an example, we talked about the salt NaCl being easily dissolvable in the polar solvent, that is water. The other factor which we would discuss today is the temperature. Temperature plays an important role in increasing or decreasing the solubility. Now, it is found that when the solid is to be dissolved in liquid, and if the reaction or the dissolution is accompanied by adding of heat, if there is an addition of heat externally, then it is found that generally the solubility would increase. So with the increase in temperature which happens by adding external heat, if that happens, then the solubility would increase. So increasing the temperature by adding external heat increases the solubility. As an example, we will find that when you try to dissolve KCl with water, and if it is done at room temperature, the solubility is low, but if you increase the temperature, then the solubility increases when the KCl dissolves in water. If the temperature increase happens because of exothermicity. Exothermal reaction means the reaction in which the energy is released in the reaction itself. And you know that when the energy is released in the reaction itself, the temperature would increase. So if in a reaction the temperature increases by the release of heat, that is if the reaction is exothermic, then it is found that the solubility would decrease. Now this is interesting, that solubility would decrease if the temperature increases if the reaction is exothermic, if the reaction is accompanied by release of heat. As an example, we can remember CaCl2's reaction with H2. So when you have a CaCl2 reacting with water, and if that happens, you know that some energy is released, and this is accompanied by increase in temperature. And if that temperature increase rises, if there is a more increase in temperature, then the solubility of CaCl2 would start decreasing in the solvent water. Right? So temperature plays an important role when we talk about the solute being the solid and the solvent being the liquid. So it might increase as well as it might decrease also, depending upon what kind of reaction it is. In gases, generally you find that as the increase in temperature, the solubility would decrease, right? So this is a common observation, that when you talk about increasing the temperature of a liquid solvent, then the solubility of the gas in that solvent would decrease. As an example, if you observe the solubility of oxygen in water, the oxygen solubility would decrease as you go on heating that water, or in other words, the water would be released, the oxygen would be released by the water as the temperature goes on increasing. That is the reason why you find that uh, sometimes if you are releasing hot water in the river stream, the fish would die. Why the fish would die? The reason is when you are releasing water into the stream, the temperature of that water, the river water or sea water, would slightly increase, and the slight increase in the temperature of the water would result in the decrease in solubility of oxygen, and oxygen would escape into the atmosphere, and then there would be less oxygen in the water. And when there is less oxygen in the water, the fish would find it difficult to breathe and it might die. Okay, so this is an important reason why the solubility has decreases in case of gas being soluble in liquid, right? So in case of the solubility of gas in liquid, it is very clear that with the increase in temperature, the solubility would decrease, right? So we have discussed now two factors. One is how the nature of solute and solvent would influence solubility. We said that if both are similar, then the solubility is good. And we talked about the influence of temperature also on the solubility. In the next lecture, we will discuss as to how the pressure would affect the solubility.